some time to bring you some of the top headlines. More than 1 million Americans now have received the first dose of the COVID vaccine. Vaccinations began just 10 days ago. Quite an accomplishment. President Trump is issuing more than 24 pardons and 3 commutations last night. Among those pardoned, his son-in-law's father, that's Charles Kushner, as well as allies Paul Manafort and Roger Stone, both were convicted as part of the Mueller investigation. And the Vatican's midnight mass is happening a bit early. The Christmas Eve service is underway now in observance of Italy's COVID-19 curfew. For more on these and other top stories, download the Fox News app, scan the QR code at the bottom of your screen, or go to foxnews.com/apps. Millions of Americans are on the move now for the holidays, despite travel warnings from top U.S. health officials. Garrett Tenney has today's numbers. He's at Chicago O'Hare International Airport. Garrett, great to see you. Merry Christmas.
Jillian, great to see you as well, and Merry Christmas. Yesterday was the single busiest day for TSA in more than 9 months. And while airports are the busiest they have been since the start of the pandemic, a vast majority of folks traveling for the holidays will be driving. According to AAA, more than 84 million people will be traveling over the next week and a half, and 96% of them are planning to do it by car, avoiding crowded airports and packed planes to try and limit the risk they're taking heading to see family as the virus is raging across the country.
Since a majority of people are going to be traveling by car this year, what we really do recommend is that you pack plenty of extra snacks and water, so you're going to limit the number of times you do have to stop along your way.
A lot of folks we've spoken to coming through the airport acknowledge that they are taking risks by traveling to see family, and while they feel like it's worth it, it doesn't make it an easy experience.
You could feel the stress in the air. People like not sure how to handle it. Some people wearing gloves, some people wearing face shields, and yeah, it's a little different than usual.
Now, if you or a loved one is traveling over the holidays, the CDC recommends getting tested both before and after your trip, limiting the number of people you interact with, and then quarantining when you get back home. Jillian?
Garrett, stay safe and stay healthy out there. Try and stay out of the check-in crowds if you can. Hopefully you can do that. Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Right, Santa Claus is coming to town, you may have heard, but before he could take off, some of his reindeer needed a bit of practice. A security camera caught a bunch of reindeer strolling down a snowy street in Connecticut on Tuesday night, caught in the act. But if you were wondering where Santa is right now, NORAD has got you covered. Joining me now is the Director of Operations at NORAD, General Scott Clancy. General, Merry Christmas. Thanks for taking time out of a very, very busy day and night for you to talk to us. I heard that Santa was given special dispensation to get the vaccine early this year. I heard a rumor from Dr. Fauci. Take a listen.
Will Santa still be able to visit me in coronavirus season?
I took a trip up there to the North Pole. I went there and I vaccinated Santa Claus myself. I measured his level of immunity and he is good to go.
General, is this true? Can you confirm?
Well, we don't deal with the vaccinations writ large here at NORAD. We're about tracking Santa, but Santa has been safe over the centuries and centuries that he's been delivering gifts to kids. We're convinced that he's going to be safe this season as well.
It's good to hear. Can you tell us where he is right now?
Yeah, I absolutely can. So NORAD is tracking Santa. Currently, he just left Southwest Asia and Africa. He's heading towards Ukraine, Romania, and Turkey at this moment.
Are you happy with his pace so far? Would you change anything?
Well,
give him some advice?
He's definitely on track.
Oh,
that's
good.
Well, I'm not going to give Santa advice, that's for sure, but he's already issued 2.8 billion gifts to kids across the world, so he's on par to have another banner year.
That is a lot of milk and cookies. So I heard another rumor on Twitter that Santa visited the International Space Station earlier today, and I think that was his first time ever. Can you tell us anything about that?
Well, Santa visited the International Space Station. He's very involved in space. It's the 20th anniversary of the International Space Station, and he wanted to commemorate that with a special visit to the folks that are up there.
That's awesome. One very quick question before I let you go. This is personal interest. Has Santa, in all the years you've been doing this, ever gone dark? Have you ever lost track of him for any period of time?
Well, we've pretty much been able to track Santa throughout, but
on a stake that Hunter Biden still holds in a Chinese equity firm. Stick with us. New questions are swirling now around Hunter Biden's foreign business dealings. This is happening now over money he reportedly still has invested in a Chinese-owned company. Jackie Heinrich has those details. Merry Christmas, Jackie.
Merry Christmas, Jillian. Well, Hunter Biden stepped down from the board of BHR in October 2019, promising not to do work for foreign companies if his father was elected. And after just hours following that announcement, Joe Biden, at a campaign stop in Iowa, promised that if he won the White House, no one in his family would be involved with any foreign operations. But 14 months later, 27 days till inauguration, Hunter Biden still has a 10% stake in that company. He distanced himself from BHR partners, largely funded by Chinese groups, including the Bank of China. Hunter owns his stake through his company, Skinny Atlas LLC. A source close to Hunter indicated the sale of Hunter's stake is still in motion, pointing to an article from this summer. And the Wall Street Journal reports the international scrutiny over Hunter's involvement has limited the company's deal-making, complicating his divestment. Hunter's lawyer at the time of his resignation from the board said Hunter joined as an unpaid member in 2013 based on his interest in seeking ways to bring Chinese capital to international markets. But he said Hunter played no role in the formation or licensure of the company, pushing back on reports that Hunter played a role in its founding 12 days after Hunter joined his father aboard Air Force Two for a trip to Beijing. Hunter's lawyer said the younger Biden didn't have a stake in the company until Vice President Biden was out of office in October 2017. And at the time Hunter resigned the board, he said he had received no return on his investment. Now, it's unclear when exactly Hunter will be able to divest his foreign holdings. The transition did not say whether the president-elect has taken new steps to make good on his primary promise to keep his family free of any foreign entanglements. Jillian.
Well, they're running out of time to pull out of that China engagement, only a few weeks out now. Jackie Heinrich from Wilmington, thank you so much and happy holidays. All right, let's bring in Fox News senior strategic analyst General Jack Keane. He is also former Vice Chief of Staff of the Army and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War. General, thanks for taking time for us on Christmas Eve. It's great to see you.
Yeah, delighted to be here, Jillian.
So, General, Republicans are using this story about Hunter Biden's business dealings in China to make the broader case that Democrats and Joe Biden's administration is naive when it comes to the real, true danger that China poses to the United States. You think that's fair?
Well, I think it's fair in a sense that the Obama-Biden team certainly appeased China for many, many years. And their tone with China was very conciliatory. It remains to be seen, Jillian, what Biden's policy is going to be with China. There wasn't much discussion of it, in the run-up to the election. No, there was certainly no debate around it, as there normally is. But in putting my own mind on it, I think we can draw a couple of inferences. One is I think they will find a way to collaborate with China and change the tone, as I said, more conciliatory. Collaborate over the pandemic and certainly over climate change. I think they want to make a deal with China over that. They'll also, they know they're going to compete with China, certainly economically for sure, and definitely over technology, 5G, biotech, quantum computing, and also nuclear for sure. These are major issues that China has used in stealing our technology very rampantly and very wholesale. The largest transfer of money has gone from the United States to transfer to China in stolen technology. But the real issue, Jillian, will be, is the Biden administration are going to be ready and willing to confront China, both militarily, certainly. I'm not talking about conflict, but standing up to them. And that will really be the issue. Based on what we know right now, that's a question mark. We just don't have that answer.
So intelligence officials in the government are warning about the threat from Chinese espionage here on U.S. soil. They say it's growing. The FBI says that about every 10 hours they're opening a new counterintelligence investigation into a Chinese national. Does that surprise you? I mean, obviously you're focused on the military perspective here, but based on what you know, is that information shocking?
Well, I deal with the whole spectrum of national security. When Director Wray said some weeks ago that China is the most significant counterintelligence target that he has, and he since said it's the most bold, it's the most pervasive, and it's the most threatening to us. And yes, he said every 10 hours he has a new target. Yeah, that was surprising in terms of the scale of it. And we have now since learned, as a result of a mainland China data link to the Australians, that there's members of the Chinese Communist Party worldwide, some 2 million of them, that at times are working to gather intelligence in various countries, to include the United States, and respond back to their government based on their demands, not requests, based on their demands. And they hold their families accountable to their performance. So this is a huge operation that the Chinese Communist Party is running. Principal target is the United States, but they do it also worldwide.
Well, it seems like it's an issue that's now gaining some traction in Congress. More Americans than ever are talking about the threat from China. I think that's probably a positive thing moving forward. Anyway, General, we've got to leave it there, but thank you for your time today. Happy holidays to you and the entire family. We'll talk to you soon in the new year.
Yeah, thank you. Merry Christmas, Jillian.
Merry Christmas. So a massive winter storm is now moving across the country. It's causing whiteout conditions in multiple states along the way. So is a white Christmas in the cards for you this year? We're going to tell you next. If you are one of the millions of Americans working from home, you might be shocked by your next cable bill. Brett Larson has all the details. Take a listen.
As millions of Americans continue to work from home, internet service providers are implementing data caps, and it could result in a big surprise in your next bill.
Netflix streaming, a Zoom meeting, remote learning. Of everything you're doing at home, it's mostly being done online, and it's all using up an unknown amount of data that you could end up paying extra for.
It's all about money. You know, at home, whether you set up a Wi-Fi network or not, it's all you can eat. You don't really think twice about how much internet you're using or consuming because it's unlimited. That's about to change.
Comcast tells Fox their 1.2 terabyte data cap doesn't impact 95% of their customers, and they offer unlimited options for more money. But how much is 1.2 terabytes?
This hard drive holds 1 terabyte of data, but just how long it takes you to use up all that space depends on what you're doing, just like when you're on the internet.
To stream the popular Netflix show The Crown in 4K, you'll use an estimated 7 gigabytes an hour, so 280 gigabytes for the entire series, or over a fourth of a terabyte. Add that to a Zoom call, estimated around 1.5 gigabytes an hour. 8 hours a day for 2 kids, every week for school, another 192 gigabytes eaten up for the month.
And it's going to always put that question mark of like, am I going to go over my cap? I mean, parents are working from home, kids are learning from home, and that consumes more data.
AT&T, Charter, and Verizon told us they do not impose data caps on most of their high-speed internet services.
The Comcast cap goes into effect next year, when Xfinity customers will be asked to pay $10 for every 50 gigabytes they go over the limit. In New York, Brett Larson, Fox Business.
Thank you, Brett. Well, a mighty blizzard is slamming the Midwest now, causing dangerous travel conditions. The National Weather Service is warning folks to avoid traveling as these whiteout conditions have already left multiple semi-trucks stranded on this highway in Nebraska. Now, this wild time-lapse video shows a snow squall blowing through Steamboat Springs, Colorado, covering the town in a massive white cloud. That's really something. Meanwhile, in South Dakota, dashcam footage caught this frightening drive through a heavy blizzard as streetlights, road signs, vehicles are really not really visible at all. So let's bring in Chief Meteorologist Rick Right, Muth? He's got the answer everybody wants, which is, are you going to have a white Christmas? Hi, Rick.
Hey there. Well, yeah, the people who just got that snow, you got a white Christmas.
They're definitely having a white
It's not going to melt at all behind it. Yeah, in fact, this is why the temperatures behind that incredibly cold. 6 degrees is your actual air temperature right now in Minneapolis, 43 in Rapid City, northeastern Nebraska. That's where that Norfolk, Nebraska video was from. You're still below freezing, so you got a white Christmas for you for sure. Go out across the east and take a look at these temperatures. We had all that snow about a week and a half ago, a really kind of record-breaking snowstorm. And now we've got temperatures that are pushing 60 degrees in New York City, 60 into the mid-Atlantic. And that means all that snow that we saw is going to rapidly melt, along with this incredibly powerful storm that's bringing a lot of rain and a lot of wind with it. So I think we have a pretty kind of dangerous situation in our hand overnight tonight. Big storms down across the southeast. This not as severe on this side of the storm. I think later on today, some severe weather across parts of the mid-Atlantic, maybe even a tornado or two. And then take a look at this. This is all rain, even across interior sections of New York, where we saw, in some cases, almost 4 feet of snow. That snow rapidly melting, along with maybe 3 to 4 inches of rain. And the wind, we're going to be talking about potential, if you haven't got that snow off of your roof, some of those roofs coming down. We're going to be talking about flooding basements and maybe some river flooding as well. This is all through Christmas Eve into Christmas Day. Here's where we have winter storm warnings in effect. You see the northern side of this. That's around the Great Lakes. We'll see some lake effect snow once the storm is gone. The southern piece of this pink here, central Appalachians, we're going to get some snow that comes in, maybe 4 to 8 inches of it, behind the rain that's falling once the cold air kind of catches up with it. We're also talking about really windy conditions, especially overnight tonight. This darker blue, our winds over 50 miles an hour. And we've got right there a few little areas of purple, maybe some winds 70 miles an hour overnight tonight around New York City. So rough night for Santa, certainly.
Yeah, well, Merry Christmas, Rick. Thanks so much for the update. We appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jillian Turner. Here's Rick Leventhal.
Rick Leventhal in for Bill Hemmer. President Trump spending Christmas Eve in South Florida as the status of the next round of COVID relief remains uncertain. And while Santa may be on the way, stimulus checks for millions in need are not, at least not yet. House Republicans voting against the president's demand to increase direct payments to most Americans from $600 to $2,000. And since the COVID package is tied to the spending bill to fund the government, a veto could trigger a shutdown. Mark Meredith is reporting live on this from South Florida. Mark?
Hey, Rick, good afternoon. Right now, it's unclear whether or not the president is going to eventually sign or simply veto this spending bill that is also tied to the economic stimulus package that has been working out. It really is unclear at this point what the president is going to do after lawmakers passed these proposals only a few days ago. The drama today was focused on the House floor when Democrats tried to put forward, through a unanimous consent, a measure to increase the $600 stimulus amount to $2,000. That's something that the president had said he wanted. Republicans said that they were not going to support this effort, so it really never went anywhere, rejected. Now House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says she plans to have the entire House meet for a roll call vote on the measure. The idea here is to get all of the lawmakers on the record with this. But in the meantime, with so much uncertainty out there, whether we'll see another shutdown or if assistance for Americans will dry up, lawmakers are strongly encouraging the president to sign the bill that Congress has already approved.
When we finally thought that we'd be able to give people hope, that's what people need, hope, and be able to begin to continue to work on this in January, doesn't give a damn about people. He threw more fear. He threw kerosene on a terrifier.
As for President Trump, no new tweets on the stimulus or on his thoughts. He didn't speak with reporters as he left Washington last night or when he arrived here in Florida. The White House says the president's schedule includes many meetings and calls. His staff, though, has not said what those meetings are or who he is talking to. They've already called a lid down here in Florida, indicating we don't expect to see the president do anything on camera today, but Twitter is where he could also make some announcements. We're also waiting to hear how Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republican majority leader, feels all about this, because he had tweeted out after the Senate had passed all this, saying help was on the way for those Americans needing it. Now a lot of people wondering, when is that help really going to get there? Rick?
Hopefully they'll find out soon. Mark Meredith live in West Palm Beach. Mark, thanks very much. Sources at the Justice Department tell Fox News talks are ongoing to decide whether to appoint a special counsel to the Hunter Biden investigation. Former Attorney General Bill Barr said he had not seen a reason to do that, but many Republican lawmakers are pushing for a special counsel. David Spunt reporting live from the Justice Department. David?
Hey, Rick, these are just discussions. No final decisions have been made. But when you talk about the son of the next president of the United States involved in a criminal investigation, and that's what this is by the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, you could bet that there would be some discussions, fruitful discussions taking place, even though we know there are no decisions that are being made. Now, specifically when you have a special counsel, the reason, according to the special counsel statute, is to stop any type of conflict of interest. And some people that work at the Department of Justice believe that, yes, it could be a conflict of interest if you have an attorney general appointed by President-elect Biden investigating, essentially overseeing on a grand scheme the investigation of his son. One called it textbook conflict of interest. Today, Rick, is the first full day without Bill Barr running the Justice Department. He's now a private citizen. He finished his job yesterday. Acting Attorney General Jeff Rosen is running the department. On Monday, the former Attorney General said on camera just 2 days before leaving he did not see a need to appoint a special counsel to investigate the younger Biden.
To this point, I have not seen a reason to appoint a special counsel, and I have no plan to do so before I leave.
So Barr passed on the special counsel opportunity. Now it's up to Rosen to give the special counsel idea either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. He has just a few weeks to do so before January 20th, if he so chooses. Republicans are hoping he does appoint one.
Look, maybe the FBI is going to do a good job and DOJ is going to do a good job, but I highly doubt it, and so do millions of Americans.
Biden has yet to announce a pick for Attorney General. The clock is ticking. He's looking, we're told, at Sally Yates, former Massachusetts Governor Deval Patrick, federal appeals court judge Merrick Garland, also outgoing Alabama Senator, could be Attorney General Doug Jones. We're also told, according to Biden sources, that the president-elect, when he becomes president, plans on having no conversations, even as president-elect, with these AG candidates about his son's business dealings. Rick?
Excellent report, David. Thanks very much. Let's bring in Republican Congressman Ken Buck of Colorado. He's a member of the House Judiciary and Foreign Affairs Committees. Congressman, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.
We're hearing a lot of debate about whether a special counsel should be appointed. I'm guessing you think one is warranted.
I wrote a letter to Attorney General Barr over a month ago and asked for a special counsel in this situation. I think the precedent is clear with Robert Mueller. I think that when you look at the activities of Hunter Biden and his father, at the time his father was vice president, it's clear corruption, a number of statutes implicated, and I think that it would really relieve the Biden administration of the conflict of interest burden if the special counsel was appointed right now.
Well, I read one source on Capitol Hill calling this a textbook conflict of interest when you have an incoming president whose son is being criminally investigated, as David reported.
Right, criminally investigated by the federal government, by the Internal Revenue Service, by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, in conjunction with prosecutors, career prosecutors at the Department of Justice, and perhaps even U.S. attorneys' offices. It is textbook conflict of interest. And in addition to that, there is this cloud. And I think that he may very well be cleared. And if he's cleared, so be it. And let the investigation do that. But if he's not cleared, I think it's all very important that we have independent prosecutors and not prosecutors who are ultimately working for his father in this case.
Joe Biden says he will appoint an AG who will enforce the law as written, and says he won't be discussing an investigation of his son with candidates. Do you believe that?
Well, I don't believe that. For one, I don't think that happened when he was the vice president. I don't think Barack Obama appointed attorney generals who enforce the law. And I don't think that this president is going to do that. They're going to appoint attorney generals who will enforce the law the way they see it. And in the case of a criminal investigation like this that could very well implicate the president, they will not aggressively pursue this investigation.
Congressman, I also wanted to ask you about the COVID relief bill, which I believe you voted against changing to the president's wishes. Why is that?
Well, it was stacked with pork, and it's really unfortunate. What we need to do is we need to help small businesses, and we need to help the unemployed. And there was money there to be moved into other accounts from the COVID relief package that was passed a number of months ago. And that money was never moved. The checks were never written to those that need them the most. And Nancy Pelosi, Speaker Pelosi, has been playing games for months now with this. And we're in this COVID relief package. We are giving money to Pakistan. We're giving money all over the world, really, and not focusing on those who need it the most here at home.
Well, you're in Congress. You were presumably part of this at some point. Why can't you guys keep it simple? Why are you tying all this other stuff to something so critically important to all Americans?
Well, the reason is that Speaker Pelosi wanted first to help bail out the pension funds from California, Illinois, New York, New Jersey, the states that are so important to the Democrat coalition. Then she wanted to make sure that President Trump didn't get his signature on a check that went to Americans before the election. So she held this up for months. Now, the real question is whether they're going to stack this full of pork and get it passed, or whether they're going to pass a streamlined bill that helps those who are most in need and not put this country's fiscal balance sheet at risk.
Congressman, real quick, I know you wrote an op-ed for FoxNews.com about the Georgia runoff elections, and it's coming up quick. And you say that it's really about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer. What did you mean by that?
Well, if the Democrats have control of the Senate and the House and the White House, they will pass very dangerous legislation. Chuck Schumer has already talked about the fact that he wants to stack the Supreme Court and make Washington, D.C. a state. And those are the kinds of things that you can expect if the people of Georgia don't elect 2 Republican senators.
Representative Ken Buck of Colorado. Congressman, we appreciate your time. Merry Christmas to you and your family.
Thank you. To you also.
A federal court rejecting a church's effort to lift COVID restrictions in time for Christmas services. Why the judges ruled the way they did and the precedent this could set. Plus, reaching a medical milestone. After more than 1 million Americans got their first dose of the COVID vaccine, I will speak live with one of them. Plus, airports now taking precautions as holiday travel picks up. And while he doesn't fly on a plane, we will check on Santa's progress this Christmas Eve.
Asked for a temporary restraining order. The court ruled the church failed to prove the restrictions violated the First Amendment rights of worshipers, though the dissenting judge wrote, "I strongly object to our failure to accommodate, even in a temporary fashion, Harvest Rock Church's request for relief from California's severe restrictions on indoor worship services by December 24th. The requested deadline is hardly arbitrary. The church seeks immediate action from our court so that its members can worship on Christmas Day, one of the most sacred holy days in the Christian calendar, and it is not the church's fault that it finds itself in this predicament." Now, this comes as churches across the country continue to challenge various COVID lockdowns and restrictions. Earlier this month, the U.S. Supreme Court stopped New York from enforcing certain limits on attendance at churches and synagogues in areas hard hit by COVID. That ruling essentially referred to a health order that treated churches the same way as comparable businesses. Also, the Catholic Archdiocese of Washington and the mayor of D.C. reached a deal on Tuesday that eases attendance limits for worship services. An attorney for the Archdiocese referred to it as a Christmas truce. Rick?
Christina Coleman live in Los Angeles. Christina, thank you. A milestone reached in the fight against COVID, with more than 1 million Americans receiving the vaccine in just 10 days. The government aiming to vaccinate 20 million people by the end of the year. Dr. Kanta Ahmed is a pulmonologist at NYU Langone. She's among the frontline healthcare workers who got the shot, and she joins me now. Dr. Ahmed, tell us about the vaccination. How'd it go? Any side effects?
Rick, it was absolutely painless. The nurse that gave me the injection had actually come out of retirement after 51 years of service at our hospital to help man the vaccination center. And the only after effects I really have is euphoria. I'm absolutely thrilled. And in fact, while I was waiting to go on air with you, I've already been invited to take my second dose, which can happen about 17 days from now. So it's a seamless operation. Seamless.
Yeah, and it sounds like you're encouraging others to do the same.
Absolutely essential if we're going to have any hope of restoring our lives in full. Travel, gathering, returning to offices, rebuilding the economy. This is the answer. We have a massive task. We have to, at the moment, we're in the very first phase. We need to vaccinate every healthcare worker in America. I'm part of a very influential and very successful and established healthcare system, NYU Langone. We're almost 50,000 employees. We're well on the way to getting everybody vaccinated within the next month. But we also need to vaccinate doctors that are independent, that are not part of academic centers, that are working alone, surgeons, dentists who've been completely overlooked. All of them have to be vaccinated. Now, in New York State, we've already vaccinated 90,000 people as of yesterday, 22,000 in nursing homes. We have a prevalence rate of about 5%. But I would appeal to Governor Cuomo while he's enjoying his Christmas Eve. Please intervene. More than half of our doctors are independent practitioners, not part of big hospitals. And the big healthcare systems are not authorized by New York State to vaccinate anybody else in the healthcare field apart from their own employees. We've got to fix that right away.
That is a fascinating wrinkle here, Doctor, that independent healthcare workers, that includes doctors and dentists and pediatricians, the independent ones, are not getting vaccinated in New York State. Now, obviously, they're on the front lines. They need it just as badly as you and the other doctors and nurses do.
Right. And they've written to me since we've been talking about this on air. Ophthalmologists, dentists, they're extremely close to the patients. The Department of Health in New York State has encouraged Americans to take their children and themselves to be quickly swabbed and screened while these doctors are unprotected. So we've done a tremendous job in New York State. Remember, we were the epicenter of the epicenter. Long Island was absolutely ablaze with this pandemic. We've had 36,000 deaths in New York State. That's more than 10% in the whole United States. We've really suffered here, and we are going to succeed at the vaccine rollout. But I want to lend a voice, and I'm sure all my leaders at my institution would like to do that too, that we not forget about people in private practice that look after so many Americans. They must be vaccinated immediately. And the governor has a vaccine equity task force to set up to look at this. Get the job done. Don't forget my independent colleagues who look after my patients too.
All right, Doctor, we're going to have to leave it there, but we appreciate your insight, and we're glad that the vaccination process went well for you. Thank you again, and Merry Christmas.
Rick, thank you so much, and Merry Christmas.
Thank you. President Trump warning Iran after an attack on the U.S. embassy in neighboring Iraq. His strong words for Tehran. Plus, a powerful storm could when the pandemic slowed travel. Garrett Tenney has that angle covered live from O'Hare International Airport in Chicago. Garrett?
Well, Rick, the airports are the busiest they have been since the start of the pandemic. Right now, there are more employees than passengers, but it has been busy earlier in the day, and across the nation, that is the case. Typically during this time of year, it's the busiest time of year for travel, but AAA is expecting holiday travel numbers to drop to the lowest levels that they have been in 18 years. More than 3/4 of Americans are expected to stay home, and of those that are traveling, 96% will be driving instead of flying, according to AAA. But with the recent surge in coronavirus cases and hospitalizations across the country, a lot of folks' travel plans could still change.
Just like at Thanksgiving, people have been doing a wait-and-see approach, kind of deciding at the last minute. And though while people may have travel plans, they may cancel and stay home just because of the pandemic and the rise of COVID-19 cases.
More than 24 airports now offer rapid testing for passengers up to 3 days before their flights, and airline workers are out in force cleaning and sanitizing the check-in kiosk. But folks traveling realize you can't completely eliminate the risk involved.
There's tension in the air, a little bit of risk involved, and just hoping for the best and being as safe as possible.
Wash my hands every chance I get. Try not to take my mask off. Pretty much, follow the same rules that they gave us.
I think we all are scared of COVID, during our daily life. So I think this is something I have to do, just to see my family a couple of days and then come back.
Well, most folks are trying to do their part to keep everyone safe. Public health officials are bracing for what could be a flood of new cases in January after folks get back home from all of these holiday gatherings. Rick?
Garrett Tenney in Chicago. Garrett, thanks very much. There is word that Joe Biden is considering Boston Mayor Marty Walsh as his pick for Labor Secretary. But sources tell Fox News racial diversity considerations are weighing heavily on the president-elect's decision. What we're learning there, Plus, more on the debate over whether to appoint a special counsel in the Hunter Biden investigation. Jim Trusty will weigh in.